question that came about a few times already, just in the beginning of the week, is what to do on Shabbat if the game happens to be on Shabbat. Big game. Some people are addicted; they can't avoid knowing the score of the game. They need to know what happens. Now, of course, it's not the Torah way. A person should never be involved with sports. Sports is Torah, is Tarbut Yavan. I'm not going into all that. It's Tarbut Yavan. It's not the Torah way. It's not the correct thing. A person should be involved in Torah, in Yirat Shamayim, in Avodat Hashem on a weekday. Forget about Shabbat. Even more so, Shabbat is a time for Torah, for Tefillah, for connecting with your family. Definitely, sports is not for Shabbat. Sports is so much so that the Shulchan Aruch says that a ball is muktzeh on Shabbat for different reasons. A ball, one is not allowed to play ball on Shabbat. Pashtut, there are leniencies. Take a look at Chacham Ovadia. There are leniencies in some of the poskim, or Letzion, Shevet Alevi, many poskim. But the idea is that they used to play ball, and there was a big city that was destroyed because they played ball. Therefore, Chachamim were gozer on ball to be muktzeh on Shabbat. So we're not going into all that. Let's say you have a person that is addicted. He must know the score on Shabbat. What should he do? What should he do? So let's throw away some options that I heard from people that maybe those options should be relevant. One of the options is that maybe you should leave your radio on. Radio, some people have other means of living on, and therefore you'll know, you leave it on, quiet, in your room, and you'll be able to come in and hear what the score is, and you're all good. Then you can go pray in shul, right? I think it's Friday night. Then you can go in the morning, pray over there with a calm heart, sameach v'tov lev. Should you do that? So let's see the issues with that.
How about if he still loses?
Oh, so then, right, that's a problem. Then he's losing on next Shabbat, right, on Simcha v'Shabbat, right. So there's a Shut Yad Aaron. He says in Siman Yud Bet that leaving a radio on from before Shabbat is asur. What should be the isur? The isur is that Chachamim were gozer on klei shir. Klei shir means musical instruments. You're not allowed to play musical instruments on Shabbat. Gzera shema etaknenu. Maybe it would break, or the guitar, one of the strings would get loosened, or whatever it is, and you'll have to fix things. This is isur of metaken kli. It could be a isur deoraita. Chachamim therefore made a gezerah that one is not allowed to play any instrument. So he wants to claim this sefer that when you have a radio is a kli shir. It also plays music. It's also an instrument, and therefore it should be asur. That's his understanding. Others say like him as well, but there are those that argue. For instance, in Shut Eretz Tzvi and Marsham bring that this is not a kli shir. What's a kli shir? Kli shir means something that produces music. It produces music, like a guitar, a piano, drums. They produce music. Over here, you're not producing anything. It's just a means of bringing. It's a medium of bringing music or whatever it is that's happening elsewhere, and he just travels it through. Oh.
If he loses the wave.
Oh, so how? Right, it still could be. Right. So, but the problem is, although it could be metaken, maybe you'll fix the radio or whatever you're using to hear the scores. But that's Chachamim. We have to be very precise when it comes to Gzerot Chachamim. Gzerat Chachamim was on klei shir. We're not allowed to be gozer Gzerot after the Gemara was sealed. This is how the Rosh brings down in the second Perek on Shabbat. This is how many poskim bring down. Chacham Ovadia brings this over and over in his Farim, that we don't have the strength and the power to be metaken new Gzerot. So if this doesn't fall into that Gzerah, it's not. We don't have the power to make the strength to make a new gezerah. So that's the argument over here. This Sefer Yad Aaron felt that this falls under that gezerah. The gezerah is like an umbrella that any instrument that you hear music from would be a violation, and others felt that it's not. Okay. Now, but what you said is correct. There are poskim like the Tshuvot V'Hanagot, Rav Steinbuch, for instance. He also brings this down. he brings down that there's a isur that maybe you'll change a channel, maybe you'll lower the volume, maybe you'll make it higher, maybe all kind of things like that. That also something that very likely for a person to do because he sits in front of the whatever it is, radio, whatever he's using, and he gets involved. He forgets about himself. So therefore, he might change things. He might hear that all of a sudden the wave loses a little bit track, and exactly at the right moment when you want to hear what's happening, and therefore, without thinking, you'll change. And that also is such a gzera. This is how also in Chelkat Yaakov he brings a question about the radio. He also, the person that asked him, it's also she'elot v'tshuvot. So in the response of the person that asked the question, the Chelkat Yaakov asks him in such a way that maybe there should be a isur. The Shmat Shabbat also of half in the shlita brings such a thing as well, that you might change the station, maybe make it higher, and therefore it should be asur. Chelkat Yaakov says that there's no isur in it whatsoever. Why not? He says that if you're going to make new gzerot like that, so you're not allowed also to have other things in a house that maybe you'll change. Whatever you have in a house that's working, like for example, if you have a light, a lamp also has means of changing the and making it brighter or less bright. And so therefore you shouldn't use that, and you shouldn't use a lot of things in a house that are on Shabbat. Let's say the blech. You make it make it higher. So, there are poskim that say that part of garuf katum is to cover the knobs, but this is not the pashtut halacha. Pashtut halacha is garuf katum. You just need to cover the top of the hot plate. Some say you don't need to cover the hot plate at all. Cham Ovadia holds like that, or Shlomo Zalman Auerbach say that you don't need to cover anything. So, but according to them, definitely, how would it be allowed? Maybe you'll change. Maybe you'll lower or higher the knob. Maybe you'll do other things. You'll turn things higher. In the urn also, you have sometimes other ways of doing things. So, therefore, this gzera, he feels that doesn't apply. There's another thing in the Shulchan Aruch that we found that's called Avsha Milta. It's in Siman Resh Nun Bet in Shulchan Aruch, Machloket Shulchan Aruch and the Rama. Avsha Milta means it's something that makes noise outside, and the neighbors or people that passing by the street will hear something's happening in the house, and therefore they'll suspect that you are doing avera, you're violating the Shabbat. Like for example, leaving on, let's say the dryer. You want to leave on the dryer right before Shabbat. You didn't have time to finish drying your clothing before Shabbat. Can you turn on the dryer? It's going to go through another hour or two into the Shabbat. Can you do that or not? That's a machloket pashtut. It's a machloket Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah. Shulchan Aruch says over there, mutar latet chitin letoch harechaim shel mayim samuch lachashecha, which means you're allowed to put wheat into the mill right before Shabbat, and the mill works with water, so it would work without you touching or doing anything. Shulchan Aruch permits it, although it makes noise. The neighbors hear it. It is permitted. Shulchan Aruch is not choshesh for avsha milta, that people hear it and suspect you that you're violating Shabbat. The Rema, on the other hand, says that we are choshesh lo hashma'at kol. He says that people would say that rechaim shel ploni are working on Shabbat. Obviously, is dealing with it, and this is davar he'asur. The Rema also adds that it would be permitted b'makom tzorech gadol. Mi'ikar adin, it will be permitted b'makom hatzorech if it's really needed. But if not for that, one should be very careful not to do something that sounds like it's violating the Shabbat. So many things fall under that. I told you, I gave you an example of the washing machine or the dryer. Washing machine could be a different issue, dryer definitely. But let's say you have your dishwasher working on Shabbat on a timer. Can you do that? That's a problem. There's few problems in it, but one problem is that it's heating water. You're not allowed to have anything heating water in your house. It's a question: can you heat water at all, even automatically? The Chazon Ish says it's not permitted to heat, even if you have a monkey pressing the button or Shaon Shabbat, a timer starting the water and letting it heat could be a problem. But But even without that, let's say you have cold water only coming, running, and people hear it. You have a maid that wants to clean around the house. She's using, let's say, a vacuum. People hear it from outside. So it involves few isurim. One of the isurim is avsha milta. People hear it from outside. Same thing would be with that radio. You leave the radio on. You leave a TV on. You leave anything like that on. It's a problem of avsha milta. According to the Shulchan Aruch, there's no isur of avsha milta, but still you have other problems that will speak. According to the Rama, according to the Ashkenazim, it is asur. The Rav Steinbuch Shlita says that it's asur even bechadrei chadarim, even quietly. Even quietly, you put it inside a room, nobody can hear it. You put it very quietly from outside the room, nobody can hear it. Even if they hear it in the house, there's no really isur because they know in the house they know that you turned it on before Shabbat. Outside the house, you don't have to worry, nobody can hear it. It's very low. Can you leave it on? He says no, it's asur. It's isur deoraita. It shows that you're doing isur deoraita. It's suspecting that it's a suspicion of doing a isur deoraita, and therefore it's asur even bechadrei chadarim. There's such a concept. What he says over here is a little controversial, but we'll skip that for now. So others say that it's mamash ziluta de Shabbat. Be'er Moshe says that putting on a TV before Shabbat or leaving on a radio before Shabbat is desecrating the Shabbat. It's zilzul of the Shabbat. It's called ziluta de Shabbat. It's putting down the Shabbat. It's not meant for that. You're changing the Shabbat's image. The Shabbat has a certain structure. You're changing it. That's davar asur. The Tshuvot v'Hanagot even says that a person that's depressed, that's what he was asked. A person that could be depressed, he gets depressed. He wants to leave the radio on from before Shabbat. He said it's not permitted. For that reason, it's Ilzul Shabbat. It could come to different Isurim. They're going to start turning it on for him. It's Asur. That's what he says. It's a little bit strict. There are maybe other poskim that would permit it when it comes to depression, because really it's not so severe, but that's the way he approaches it, okay? The Be'er Moshe also approaches it in a very strict and severe way. We're just bringing this. We're not going into the question of somebody that really needs it. Over there could be that there are other poskim that would permit it. We're dealing just with a person that wants to hear the score of the game. That's not something that he can't live without, okay? So let's take that option out of the table, leaving the radio on, although there are, again, those that are permitted, like the Chelkat Yaakov, Me'orot Natan. There are poskim that permit it. Let's avoid that. It's better not. What's the other choice? Other choice is maybe you ask your friend. You have a friend that doesn't keep Shabbat, and you see him he's your neighbor, and you knock on the door and you tell him, how are you? How are you? What's going on? What's the score? Is that permitted? That's definitely not permitted, because a Jew that made the Isur, it's called Maaseh Shabbat. You're not allowed to benefit from a Jew that makes a violation of Shabbat. You're not allowed to benefit from a violation of somebody else. So therefore, since he find out the score through a violation, through violating Shabbat, you're not allowed to benefit. That's in Siman Shin Yud Chet in Shulchan Aruch in Hilchot Shabbat. So what's the other option? Other option is to ask a goy. Can you ask a goy? That comes into a question of shvut de shvut. You're asking a goy to turn on his phone, let's say, and look in it and see what the score is. It's a question of whether playing with your phone is Isur D'Oraita or the Rabbanan. If it's Isur D'Oraita, it's only one shvut. Asking the goy, he's violating Isur, he's doing for you Isur Torah. Or if it's Isur the Rabbanan, it becomes shvut the shvut. Shvut the shvut is not sufficient, because you need for shvut the shvut. Even if you take it all the way, that you say it's only Isur the Rabbanan to play with your phone and find out, is shvut the shvut still needs on top of it that it should be a dvar mitzvah. So finding out the score is not a dvar mitzvah. It needs to be tzorech gadol, hefsed merubeh, you're losing a lot of money. You need tzorech harabim. You need a real need to use shvut the shvut, which you don't have over here. If you're not going to know the score, nothing will happen. What's the only choice left with us is asking somebody that knows already. Asking a goy, you stop a goy in the street, do you know what was the score? If he knows, he tells you, yeah, that was the score. If he doesn't know, He doesn't know, so you ask another goy. Doing that is permitted because he's not doing anything for you right now. You're not asking him to take out the phone and find out for you the score. You're just asking him if he knows. You're using the information that he knows already. That is fine to do. That would be the only permissible way. Again, it's not to the spirit of Shabbat, but if one really needs to do that, that would be the only way to permit it.